Coming up on Theater Talk.
Is this ridiculous, this glut of openings that we have in the spring? Because everyone wants the Tony Award and they've got to get in. And does it take its toll on you as a reviewer? Do you even know what you're seeing half the time anymore?
It absolutely does. The problem with it especially is that a lot of producers save their best material for this month to qualify for the Tonys at the last minute. And so a lot of the better things are coming in at the same time after a long period, it felt like this year, of fallow.
Theater Talk is made possible in part by the CUNY TV Foundation. From New York City, this is Theater Talk. I'm producer Susan Haskins.
And I'm Michael Riedel of the New York Post.
So, Michael, did you know that Barbra Streisand has her own personal mall in the basement of her house where she puts all her tchotchkes? This is a true fact. And now there is a fantastic play with a premise so inventive and wonderful that I'm going to let our guest, the playwright Jonathan Tolins, explain it to you. Joining Jonathan is Michael Urie, a wonderful New York actor who we also remember across America for his role in Ugly Betty, among many other things, but that's where I first
Jonathan,
saw it.
now, the play is called Buyer and Cellar, C-E-L-L-A-R.
That's right.
And it is based on one of the great design books, I think, of all time, Barbra Streisand's My Passion for Design. Now, this is a book that takes you inside her Malibu compound.
Yes.
And you found in this book the inspiration for your play. What is that?
Well, one of the unusual features of Barbra's estate is in the underground section of the barn. Instead of
Already funny.
instead of having closets or storage rooms to store all her old stuff, because she's got a lot of stuff, she decided to build a street of shops. So it's like a little European arcade. There's a doll shop and a sweet shop and an antique clothes store and an antique shop. And I thought that was kind of funny. And so I imagined one day, you know, I said to someone, boy, how'd you like to be the guy who has to work down there? And eventually I started to think of it as a play. And so I did some research. I actually read that book cover to cover. And I found a lot of details that inspired moments for me. And I imagined this guy, Alex Moore, who's an actor in LA, the kind of actor in LA that I know who like just can't really get things going. And ends up with this job of being down there to greet the customer and take care of the merchandise.
Was the customer Barbra?
The customer, yes. There's the one customer who comes down and browses.
And he plays her too.
Oh, you do the double act.
I play several different people. But I'm sort of the guy telling the story, and I just tell it quite well. And
Oh, you tell it beautifully.
well, I didn't mean it like that. I just mean that I tell it so well that I sort of become the other people.
You become Barbra Streisand.
Yeah, yeah.
Brilliant, by the way. Just want to say that.
It's a brilliant play.
Right. Have we heard from Barbra? Does she know that?
No.
Done?
Does she watch this show?
We are syndicated in Malibu.
I love PBS.
So she has no idea about this play. You didn't have to.
As far as we
rights or
know,
anything like that?
no. I mean, it's all public information.
Right.
And
It's in her book, public.
The most important thing is that ultimately it's a very sympathetic portrait of her. I don't think she would be too offended.
But is it legal to do that?
Well,
She's a public figure.
What I've been told by lawyers is that as long as we don't advertise using her name or likeness, which we don't at all, then we're not profiting off her in that way. And so,
do you mention her name in the play? You
oh
say
yes,
it is?
It wouldn't be funny if I like created some character who's sort of like her, because the play the play is sort of deals with the Barbra in our minds. Like it sort of plays with the Barbra we all know and all this information that even if we're not big fans of hers, we all carry around all these opinions and thoughts about Barbra Streisand, which the play kind of unearths and deals with.
Is there a slightly sort of pathetic quality to your character? I mean, as you were saying, the actor who really never makes it and is really, this is really the definition of being on the fringe of show business when you're working in Barbra Streisand's mall in her basement.
Under the fringe.
Yeah, right.
He is, I mean, he's a very sweet, lovely person, the character of Alex. But he isn't doing what he wants to be doing, and he does need money jobs. He works as a cast member at Disneyland and other kinds of things that actors can do to make money when they're not making money actually, like really acting. And so this comes along, and at first it seems kind of sad and pathetic, but it does become something that really, that really inspires him. And it's sort of like all great stars, we have like, there's sort of a friend in our head, like we sort of think we know them a little bit, and I think that's what Jonathan's done so beautifully is he's created a Barbara that it may or may not be anything like the real Barbara, but we buy it. We buy that she would be like this, and we like that she would be like this.
At the beginning of the play, Michael comes out and tells the audience, none of this is real, none of this happened, but you feel it as the thing goes on that people forget that, and they really want to believe this is actually, they're getting to spend time with Barbara. And there's no one dressed as Barbara or looking like Barbara, he just sort of evokes her.
No,
and
but
so many
you're
people
totally engulfed in this world, and the world of her tchotchke realm, where the doll shop, because you can almost see the doll shop and all these wonderful things. You're at the Little Rattlestick Theater, which is not a big house, but you really have this beautiful way of making us see this. But I want to say, Barbara, if you're watching, you should really support this play, because I think it will help you sell books. I went home and bought a book last night.
But are you getting at something here? Is this the excess of the consumer culture, that these people simply have too much money, that they're building a street in the basement of their barn?
Well, there is some of that. I mean, you just can't help but feel that little 1% nature of this situation. But, for me, I really wanted to I thought it was an inherently funny and interesting situation, and to have these two characters who are in different economic and show business spheres put together and form this relationship. I had no message that I was trying to get across. I just wanted to make it as real as possible to me while I was writing it. But that stuff is definitely in there. And Alex does ask at the end something about what is, all this stuff. What is it about?
But we've worked out in Hollywood, right? You've been...
Oh, yeah. I mean,
have you known some of these stars like this who live like this? Have you seen...
Oh, I've been around very rich people, yes.
And you really think Barbra Streisand, when you remind us how incredibly brilliant she is, but if she had not hit it big as Barbra Streisand and became a hoarder, then she would just have all this stuff all over her house, but she can pay people to organize it, and
Well, at one point in the play, he said, did she ever think of how much dusting would be necessary? Of course not. Why would she? She's not the one with the Swiffer going around.
Do you think she's a hoarder here?
Yes, I think yes.
So in the play, he says it's hoarding on a higher plane.
Yes, a high plane hoarder.
Yeah, but it's there's so much. I mean, there is so much stuff in there. I mean, there are things in the book, like there's corners of pages in the book that contain things that cost more than our entire play. Like she could move our play to Broadway with a corner.
But one of the things that really inspired the play, and which I think gives the play kind of its heart, is there's a line in one of the captions of the photos in the book where she says that she always dreamed, and she shows some big room where she found the perfect table to match this other table, and she says, and I've always dreamed of having these huge dinner parties in this room, but I'd be too afraid of anyone getting dirt on the Aubusson rug. And that was so poignant to me. I mean,
she's a prisoner of her own stuff.
Well, in a way, yeah. And so that drives a lot of the play and what Alex kind of discovers about her. And they form this really close bond because she actually does open up her home and her heart a little bit to this person in her basement.
Now, you started to say before Susan so rudely interrupted you that you have been around incredibly rich people.
I've worked in show business. And I've worked with very big people. I mean, I traveled around on a Learjet with Bette Midler in 1999, writing her tour, and so she is not this book. This is not about her. She's doing her own show with Barbara Stories right now. So.
with Sue, the Sue Mendra story that she's doing.
Yeah. So I've been around it, and I don't have any big judgment about it, but it's something. It's weird. It causes a response in you, and I wanted to explore that.
Well, but I mean, I too have sort of. I know people as well, and you see them, and you do begin to wonder, though, does it take a psychological or an emotional toll on you when you don't have to do anything for yourself at all? She doesn't have to dust.
Except I want to hastily add that she took the pictures for her own book. I mean, she doesn't have to do anything for herself, but there's a part of her which you bring out that she wants to do anything that she wants to do and wear so many hats in so many projects.
But you can be in that bubble, you know, that showbiz bubble, where you are disconnected to the way people really live their lives.
That's a danger as an artist, absolutely.
You're getting at that somewhat in the play too, do you think?
Yeah, I think a little bit. Yeah, there are moments where you feel like she's lost touch with some of the fun that she used to be able to have as a performer. But in the play, you know, one of the cool things that we've all been reading about is that Barbara's planning a movie of Gypsy, and that comes up in the show because it turns out it's Alex's idea. And but they rehearsed together in the basement, and Barbara is wonderful because there's no pressure of everyone watching it. She's just down there with her new friend in the basement.
And you're doing Gypsy too, which is quite, you're playing Herbie.
Yes. Well, Alex played Herbie in college.
Yes.
Which is where the whole idea.
Are you a Streisand fan?
I am. I would not say I was a Streisand nut. I mean, when I was a teenager, my mom and I used to watch the DVD of the 94, 95 concert, whatever it was. We would watch that together, and I thought she was brilliant, and that was really all I knew of her. That was what was so exciting to me about doing this play, was getting to sort of be her, because I think she's so brilliant, and I think she's such a star in that movie star way, that unpredictable way, that the reason we love watching people like Al Pacino and Nicholson and Streisand, who are, you don't know what they're going to do. You don't. They're crazy. I mean, they're crazy actors.
They're freaks of nature.
They are. Yeah, they are.
Superhumans.
And she demands your attention.
They are. And it's not. And it's not about. And not a single one of them is what you would traditionally call a beautiful person, but they have this superstar charisma. Really.
And there's an intense need. And that intense need
leads to hoarding.
is one of the things that leads to acquiring things and people.
But that's also a slippery slope, I would say. I mean, I'm doing okay, but I'm certainly not rich. Certainly not Streisand rich, but like it's a slippery slope when you have people attending to you.
Yeah.
You know, like working on TV, where people will, you know, go get you a cup of coffee
Yes.
or whatever. Then, you know, working at the Rattlestick, where you make the pot yourself, and you know, like it's
You don't want to lose that ability.
I know, but I love it when I'm on Smash and they say, "Would you like a vegetarian quesadilla or a meat quesadilla for lunch?" And you get your trailer, and there's always somebody fetch things for you.
and you get used to that.
I love it. And then the background.
Don't get too used to it.
I know.
And then you get put on Saturday night, darling.
And that's the-
okay. So
that's
I
the
want to
other
say about the hoarding that it is said that Andy Warhol was such a shopaholic that when he died, they found in his townhouse just bags and bags of stuff. He never even took the stuff out of the bag.
He needed an Alex Moore to sort of
Yeah,
help him out,
exactly.
so.
Yes, exactly.
Now, let's just say for the sake of argument that Barbara does come to see this play and invites you over, Jonathan, the house. Will
I'd
you
say
ask-
yes.
Will you ask to see the mall underground?
Oh yes, I know. I've met people who have seen it. I've been down there.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
And what is their
worked on a
take
movie.
on it?
They
What?
said that the play is accurate.
Really?
Not that she doesn't have anyone working down there, but that it feels like it does in the picture.
Yes, and if we can legally show this picture, I don't know, I'm going to think about it. No, if I can hold it up.
litigious, so you
Wait,
gotta be
wait,
careful
wait.
with
Let me
that.
hold this up on camera. So now talk about the thing, and I'll hold up the doll shop picture on camera.
In the back.
Like 190.
190.
or so.
All right, wait, okay. All right, go back. All right, go back where you are. So, and they say,
Yeah, like this is the doll shop where
Yeah.
Alex. Actually, that's where Alex first gets to meet Barbara, where she comes down and pretends to be someone shopping.
She pretends to be someone
Yeah.
shopping.
oh,
Yeah, they
so many
play.
things. Oh.
That's the antique store.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And that's the street. There's the sweet shop with the frozen yogurt machine.
That's fake. That's not real light. That's artificial light.
Buyer and Cellar at the Rattlestick Theater, starring Michael Urie.
And I don't think I've gushed enough, Michael, over how terrific you are.
Thank
That
you.
You are just really, really terrific.
Thank
And a fine new play by Jonathan Tolins at the Rattlestick Theater. Thanks a lot for being our guests on Theater Talk.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
So, Michael, we are in the midst of the spring season, and we want to touch base with two.
We're actually sort of in the home stretch here. We've
Yeah,
got
the home
like
stretch,
10
the home stretch.
openings between now and the cutoff date for the Tony Awards at the end of April. This is the time when the critics are running to the theater every night, trying to make sense of all of this stuff. Some of it very good, some of it unspeakably bad. But to give us a sense of what's going on Broadway right now, we have brought in two experts in the area. We are joined by Suzy Evans from Backstage. Welcome, Suzy, to Theater Talk.
Happy to be here.
And our old friend, looking very Burt Reynolds-ish these
Thank you.
days.
I think you look very Drood.
Edwin Drudy, yes.
I'll take some combination of the two.
Adam Feldman from Time Out.
Happy to be back.
So, Adam, I just want to get the sense from you, because you are a critic. Is this ridiculous, this glut of openings that we have in the spring? Because everyone wants the Tony Award and they've got to get in. And does it take its toll on you as a reviewer? Do you even know what you're seeing half the time anymore?
It absolutely does. I call this part of the season the gantlet, because as we record this, there are 15 shows. It will be 10, I guess, by the time it airs, but there are 15 shows that we're going to be seeing in the next 4 weeks. And all of us have to see all of these shows because we're Tony voters or whatever. And it is exhausting, in addition to the regular off-Broadway schedule that we're on at this time of year as well. It's hard to take it all in, and the problem with it especially is that a lot of producers save their best material for this month to qualify for the Tonys at the last minute, and so a lot of the better things are coming in at the same time after a long period, it felt like this year, of fallow.
Yes.
Yes.
Because the fall season this year
It was a dud.
beyond a dud. I don't remember the last time I've been doing this for 10 or 15 years. I do not remember the last time we had such a weak showing in the fall.
Right.
And that is exhausting too when you have nothing good to say.
Yeah, yeah. Now, Suzy, what are the highlights, though, coming into the spring? What are the shows that everyone's talking about?
The stuff I'm hearing the most about is obviously Matilda.
The Roald Dahl musical.
The Roald Dahl musical is coming that I am very excited for. Katie Boots is getting a lot of good buzz.
Cyndi Lauper's new musical with Harvey
Yeah.
Firestein.
And Pippin is, I think, going to be the surprise, maybe not so much surprise because it got great reviews out in Boston, but it's fantastic. I mean, I went up to the ART to see it in January.
Did you
and
like it?
I loved it, and I hear it's only gotten better and tighter and bigger for Broadway, and I think, I think Diane Paulus might be heading for a three-peat with revivals.
Now, there are a few things, Adam, that I do want to pick off because you have suffered through them. Tell me, Adam, just for my sheer delight, how bad is Breakfast at Tiffany's?
Breakfast at Tiffany's is, in my opinion, just exceptionally bad. And it's disappointing because I like so many of the people involved. Richard Greenberg is a very talented
He is a
playwright. He has
talented
another show coming up this season, which I really hope will be
The
better.
Assembled Parties, I believe
Yes.
it's called.
Forward to that.
People think that critics are sadists. Many, I guess some of them are, but most of us, I think, really do want to write good reviews and are disappointed when we have to sit through something this bad. It's just a misfire in every direction. And the poor girl, Emilia Clarke, who is playing Holly Golightly, it's an impossible task to live up to everyone's vision of Audrey Hepburn in that role. But even by any standard, the poor girl has very little stage experience. She has very little stage presence. As I said in my review, she goes out there a starlet and she comes back a youngster. There's nothing to be done. And
The only
you feel
publicity
bad
got,
for
she
her.
took her clothes off and she wound up on the front page of the New York Post.
I know.
It was really good press the show
Well,
got.
you sell what you've got, and they're marketing that show on that and on the cat.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's what they've got.
Now, Adam, I have to ask you, we are about to be subjected to a revival of Frank Wildhorn's Jekyll-and-Hyde.
You're making me talk about all the bad things. Can't we talk
Maybe in a
about
minute.
things that
But
we
I have to
love?
ask you,
I love a lot of things.
But
What
I
is
have-
there to
I have to ask
say?
you this. Frank Wildhorn, God love him, why? Why does he keep coming back to Broadway only to get it in the neck from you guys?
Well, I can see why he keeps coming back to Broadway. He wants to make money, and he thinks that he will, and he wants to get his name out there. He wants his shows to be out there. That makes complete sense to me. I don't understand why producers keep bringing him back to Broadway because
They lose money on
They
him.
keep losing money on all of these shows. Even Jekyll-and-Hyde, which is his most successful show, ran for years and still didn't recoup in its original run on Broadway, as far as I know.
No, never did.
It's Jekyll-and-Hyde is a weird case. It is a very bad show. I think no, seriously, I don't say that lightly. It is, I think, probably the worst show that has ever run for longer than 2 years on Broadway, ever.
But now it's got Constantine Maroulis.
And I'm
Tony
not,
nominee, Constantine.
Yes, thank you.
He's got good hair. You got to give him.
That's very
he's
important
Got
in
very
this
good
show.
hair in the show.
This is
Are
the
you gonna
hair.
do the flip the hair, Jekyll-and-Hyde, the flip with the hair. I
The
don't know.
musical equivalent of a
Do you
a
like
hair
Frank
band.
Wildhorn, Susie? Are you an ice skating music fan?
I was not a huge fan of Wonderland or Bonnie and Clyde. I do have a soft spot for Jekyll-and-Hyde. I was telling Adam because I sang the 2 Big Lucy numbers when I was in high
There
school.
you go.
I can't even tell you what those big numbers are.
Someone Like You and A New Life, which
And
are
they're
totally.
bringing back Bring On the Man, apparently.
Oh.
They're reinserting it.
Oh my God,
Well,
you know far too much.
I know.
Far too. Now, you remember when Charles Isherwood wrote that piece? Who was the playwright? He said he was no longer going to review.
Adam Rapp.
When Charles Isherwood said, "I will no longer review Adam Rapp," I'm just waiting for every critic to come out with a manifesto. I will no longer review a Frank Wildhorn show.
No, but you have to, because you have a responsibility to the public, to the ticket
But this
buying,
production has been
money-paying
reviewed.
public. It is tricky because when you go into a show knowing that you already
gonna hate
like it, but most things that are revived tend to be the better ones because history's triage takes care of that, you know. So you usually see the better shows.
Well,
revived.
you know, several years ago, when I, along with a great deal of the press, were ejected for being Tony voters, a major press agent said to me, "Well, now you can pick and choose what you want to go see."
It was a godsend to be
So,
thrown off the Tony voter
therefore,
list. You don't have to see everything.
I
I
likely
fought
won't
to
see
get
this.
back on, and now this is my punishment.
Well, the thing that I
my
don't
moment.
understand is they've been touring it and playing every city and not getting good reviews, and they're still bringing it in.
Well, I think obviously Frank Wildhorn and his producers are at a point where they think that the reviews are irrelevant, which maybe to some extent, especially with a show like this, they are. They're hoping that word of mouth and the people who love this kind of show, or this show in particular, will show up and support it, and it won't matter that the snobby critics don't like it. And maybe that's true, but I don't think it's going to run for 4 years this time.
I don't think so. Susie, let's leave on a more upbeat note. What do you like?
I get the upbeat thing.
Well, no, I know you like Tom Hanks a lot in Lucky Guy.
I did. I'm a huge Nora Ephron fan, like the rest of New York. And I thought Tom Hanks is doing a really, really great job in this play. I mean, the play was an unfinished work, and so there's some dramatic energy that kind of lags a little bit, but Tom Hanks is really giving a solid whirlwind performance with a great supporting cast. I mean, Courtney B. Vance steals every scene he's in, and there's Stephen Tyrone Williams has a great scene, and it's a really solid cast. And
we should say it's about Mike McAlery.
It's about Mike McAlery.
Really the last of the great newspaper columnists when newspapers really
Oh, no,
mattered.
that's you, darling.
Well, I wasn't going to say
Well,
that
I mean,
myself, Susan, but thank you for teeing it off.
Yes.
Well, you know, it's interesting to me because I was around. I'm old enough to have been around when Mike McAlery was still alive, and I haven't seen him play yet. But if Nora has done the job properly, it should give you a sense. It should evoke that era that's now gone now, when newspapers really ran the town before the internet. When you know, if you had a front page story, you owned that story for the whole day. Now you have a front page story, you own it for 30 seconds until somebody else picks it up and runs with it.
Well, it's depressing to kind of watch as a journalist because it's basically about how journalism is dying. But it's really great, and there's a love letter journalism in the playbill that from Nora, one of Nora's essays, and it really does. You can feel a sense of her in it, and Tom is giving a great performance, and it's something. And people are coming to see it. It's top in the box office. So.
Yeah, it's over $1 million gross a week.
Well, there is a lot that I just want to say. There is a lot that I'm looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to
This
Pippin.
is the
I'm looking
moment.
forward to Motown the musical. I think that the cast seems really talented.
Yeah, but
about
the
that.
word of mouth on that is not
Well,
so
but I like the music, and I'm hopeful. I'm holding out hope. Matilda, I'm looking forward to Fiona Shaw in The Testament of Mary.
the one with the thorns in her mouth.
Her Medea was one of my favorite performances I've ever
Yeah, she
seen
was
on
good.
Broadway. I think it'll be interesting to see Bette Midler in that one-woman show about Sue Mengers. And I am really excited about the off-Broadway return of my favorite show from last year, which no one got to see.
Scarlet Pimpernel.
No. It was a show called Natasha, Pierre, and the Great Comet of 1812.
Oh, I heard that was good.
It was great.
saw
It
this.
played at Ars Nova just for a few weeks. It was totally sold out, and now they're bringing it back for a summer run. And
Where's it going to be?
they've constructed a special space for it in the Meatpacking District.
Oh,
And it's
yeah.
going to be a Russian restaurant combined with a bar
For
and the
$175 a
performance.
ticket.
Yeah, but it includes dinner, and it's worth it. It's really a very special show.
All right, before we go, I want to get you on the record for predictions of Tony Awards. Best musical?
Matilda, but Kinky Boots can get in there.
Best play?
I think the Vanya, Masha, Sonia, and Spike. I think that's gonna.
Oh, really? That's
Yep.
Oh, that's interesting.
I think they moved it from Lincoln Center.
Chris Durang's play, yeah.
Yep.
Tom Hanks, does he win Best Actor in a play, do you think?
I really am rooting for Tracy Letts, but I think Tom might be the one to
Virginia
beat.
Woolf,
No,
yeah.
I think Tom Hanks does seem to be the one to beat based on word of mouth and the rest
Yeah,
of it.
and just because Tracy Letts is out of town. But
Yeah.
we're really getting
But-
ahead of
but-
ourselves. But what's
but
your
Nathan
prediction,
Lane.
darling?
Nathan Lane.
Oh,
Don't forget
Nathan
Nathan
Lane.
Lane.
Oh, and Nathan Lane in the Nance.
My friend Nathan Lane. Now, Do you have a prediction before we go? At this early date?
I predict that Jekyll-and-Hyde will win Best Revival of a Musical. Because I
Constantine?
think finally Frank Wildhorn's true talent is finally going to be appreciated by this theatrical establishment that has done nothing but beat this man senseless. And it's unfair, and I'm pretty outraged about all of that.
You're a bold man.
That's what I think is going to happen there.
Talk to him. Talk to him.
No.
All righty.
All right, you want to add something before we go?
No, no. I'm good. I think I
I'm
started.
rooting for you, Frank.
I would say that the strong category this year is Best Musical Revival. That's going to be
Yes.
the most competitive category.
Jekyll-and-Hyde.
All except for Jekyll-and-Hyde, I don't think will be nominated. But Cinderella and Drood and Pippin and Annie are all strong productions, and that will be a real horse race.
It's going to be Pippin.
It's gonna be
Probably.
Pippin.
Yeah, Pippin, absolutely. Although I would write in Jekyll-and-Hyde if I were. All right, Suzy Evans from Backstage and Adam Feldman from Time Out. Thanks for being our guest tonight on Theater Talk.
Thank you.
Next week we have Frank Wildhorn.
Our thanks to the Friends of Theater Talk for their significant contribution to this production. Theater Talk is made possible in part by the Frederick Lowe Foundation, the Eleanor Naylor Dana Charitable Trust, the Corey and Bob Donnelly Charitable Fund, the Noel Coward Foundation, Carrie J. Fries, the Dorothy Strelson Foundation, the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, and the New York State Council on the Arts, a state agency.
We welcome your questions or comments for Theater Talk. Thank you and good night.